Well, good morning, Madam Chair, members of the Commission. My name is Paul Bruno. I'm the Chief Financial Officer of a local engineering firm. For the past 16 years, I've served on the Board of Directors of the Carmel River Watershed Conservancy. Our organization prepared the very first action plan for preserving and restoring the watershed. I also serve on the board of the Seaside Groundwater Basin Water Master. We administer the Seaside Basin adjudication. I've served on that board since its inception, including 6 years as chair. And finally, this morning, I'm speaking as a local resident and a ratepayer in the Cal-Am service area. I'd like to welcome you all to the Monterey Peninsula. We live in an absolutely beautiful community. We have a wonderful quality of life in many ways, but in many ways but one, we desperately need a sustainable water supply. I attended the Coastal Commission meeting in Half Moon Bay back in November 2014. That day, you approved the test well for Cal-Am's proposed desal plant. Thank you again for that vote. Your approval was an important step towards a reliable water supply for our community. We've come a long way. That test well has been running for about 20 months, and it's doing what it's supposed to do. It has proven that such a well is feasible. That is very good news, given that such an intake system is preferred by the Commission over the open ocean intake. That well is also providing the data necessary to design additional wells and the desal plant. This moves us further down the path. Some have spoken out against Cal-Am and against the test well. These people show up and are very vocal. But to what end? They'll offer no viable solution. They'll express anger and frustration. I am certain that many of you know that our community needs the desal plant. Not only will it provide much needed water, it will also allow us to finally curtail pumping on the Carmel River. Our community has a CDO hanging over its head. It is a real threat that cannot be ignored. The State Water Resources Control Board's patience is running thin, and we must show progress. The Carmel River is overpumped and needs to be restored so that once again it flows naturally. We cannot rely upon the Carmel River or the Seaside Groundwater Basin. Our community has pulled together and has conserved all that it can. My wife and I use less than 30 gallons per day per person. That is very little water. I encourage you to go home and compare that to your personal usage. You'll see how much we've tightened our belts. The only answer for our community is a new source of supply. Our community needs the desalination plant. They need it sooner, not later. We hope that we can count on your continued support as we move forward towards this goal. Thank you very much.
Good morning. On this Bastille Day, I'm Ron Weinstein, President of the Water Ratepayers Association of the Monterey Peninsula, also known as Water Plus. As advocates for our local Monterey Peninsula ratepayers, Water Plus has a vital interest in the effect on our local water supply of your existing policy favoring subsurface over open ocean intake for desalination. As strong environmentalists, most of our members understand and appreciate that policy. Times have changed, however, since that policy's adoption. Technology has substantially reduced the deleterious impact of open ocean intake on sea life. Equally significant in a different realm is that federal energy policy has taken a 180-degree turn, so that now it threatens the extent and even the very existence of national marine sanctuaries, including our local Monterey Bay one. That is because the plan now is to enable the extraction of oil from under the seafloor to the extent possible. That is a concern which Water Plus believes the Commission should immediately address, particularly regarding desalination intake policy. Water Plus suggests that the Commission seriously consider altering that policy to put the two intake sources at least on an equal footing. The reason we make this suggestion is that open ocean intake can serve as a deterrent to oil drilling and the threat to sanctuaries that oil drilling expansion imposes. To the extent that California depends on seawater as a source of our drinking water, surface oil drilling, because of that susceptibility to oil spills, would endanger our lives and our economy. That endangerment can constitute a powerful argument against the contraction or elimination of national marine sanctuaries. Water Plus urges you to reconsider your desalination intake policy to facilitate the use of open ocean intake to combat the threat of new federal energy policy to our national marine sanctuaries. Thank you for your consideration of this policy change.
Good morning. My name is Michael Baer. In response to Mr. Bruno, I would like to say that there are alternative water supply options, but there's no time to discuss them here in 3 minutes. And what we're talking about as a naysayer is your current existing permit for the test slant well. And another thing, I'd like to talk today about SGMA, which is the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act of 2014. Yesterday I pointed out that what we're talking about is a groundwater intake system because they did not build the intake out underneath the seabed. So once you get inside the mean high tide line, the rules are changing. So the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act of 2014 divides the state into over 500 different sub-basins and water basins based on groundwater stratigraphy. About 4% of those sub-basins have been identified as critically overdrafted basins or sub-basins of the groundwater, including the sub-basin at CEMEX. What the sustainability SGMA provides for is to create a plan to return the groundwater system to where it was in 2014 by 2040. The plan is supposed to be implemented in 2020, and by 2040, the water quality is supposed to be back to where it was in 2014. I'd like to point out to you the pumping for the test slant well began in April of 2015. So, we've taken over 1 billion gallons, as I said yesterday, out of the groundwater. And if you have a production plant, you're talking about an array of 6 to 10 slant wells, depending on the size. And there's absolutely zero chance that any, it's called the GSA, Groundwater Sustainability Agency, to manage that. There's absolutely no way they'll be able to return the water quality back to 2014 levels with a desalination plant at the CEMEX site. It's infeasible, which is part of your mission, as was mentioned yesterday. It's infeasible to be at that site. Thank you.
Good morning, my name is Kathy Biala and I'm a resident of Marina. Yesterday, Director Ainsworth said something I wanted to respond to. The director suggested that the commission have an updated review of the Cal-Am Slant Well project. I applaud this recommendation for all the reasons many people have expressed over the last 2 days of general public comment. I do urge you, however, to not just base your review on information that Cal-Am provides you, but also include input from the City of Marina and the Marina Coast Water District, in whose jurisdictions the MPWSP presents the most severe impacts. Of importance is the 15-page ecosystem section in the City of Marina's response to the project's current DEIR. This is the second DEIR for this project, and those experienced in environmental impact reports have told me that they have never seen such sheer volume and quality of written challenges. On the heels of yesterday's unanimous vote to end the CMEX sand mining in Marina, I would like you now to imagine 10 slant wells being constructed on that shoreline, the presence of a facility that will suck out groundwater, complete a desalting process, and then spew back 14 million gallons per day of high salinity brine discharge into the National Marine Sanctuary, all in the exact same spot which you have only yesterday so resolutely designated for open space and conservation in perpetuity. And this scenario could actually happen because of prior easement agreements made by Cal-Am and future land purchase deals. Cal-Am has already invested $16 million in one test slant well and is eager to spend another $350 million plus for the next 9 wells. Please listen carefully and scrutinize the information in your suggested review. You are directly involved in this project, having approved a permit for the the building of one test slant well. Now, it is your job to see if this project is consistent with the values and commitments upheld yesterday. This commission has shown itself to have the competency and the backbone to enact decisions based on good science. We in Marina are again reliant upon the commission for this important responsibility. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is George Riley. I'm Managing Director of a nonprofit called Public Water Now on the Monterey Peninsula. We didn't orchestrate ourselves this morning, but it's an amazing sequence, I think, of comments. But I want to pick up on yesterday's discussion and decision about sand mines and how the lack of data in the early stages of the development of sand mines led to a massive coastal erosion impact because of the lack of data. And I'm nobody's blaming anybody because this happened 100 years ago. But transfer that thinking to today. Cal-Am is proposing the use of slant wells that's never been done before. It could have been the same situation 100 years ago with sand mines. But today we have options. This is not the only solution to our water supply. But Cal-Am is going down the road because the state agencies, various state agencies, yours included, has asked for a feasibility analysis of slant wells under the ocean bed. Now, situations have changed, the circumstances have changed since then, because Cal-Am is no longer taking the water directly under the ocean bed. That's a feasibility question. Well, the feasibility question even applies. What I ask that you consider doing, if the executive director is going to come back with a briefing report, is that you focus on the science of this technology and focus on how it impacts the bay, how it impacts seawater intrusion, and how it impacts, in general, the instructions that have been generated by the State Water Board and you, that there be a feasibility analysis. Feasibility can include any number of things, including engineering, economics, legal issues, and the options going forward. But absolutely it is based on science. And what you showed yesterday is a real heavy reliance on science, and a heavy reliance on that being the determining factor of how you ultimately made your decision around sand mines. I would ask that you elevate the science on slant wells to that same level of analysis. I just ask that you do that. You're in a position to do that. You have the staff to do that. You've done it already regarding sand mines. I just hope you elevate the issue of science in the feasibility questions that relate to slant wells. It is not being done to our satisfaction locally. And I'm only one, but many of us have the same opinion. But until there is a robust look at the science around slant wells, we're going to be going down the same road that sand mines went down before. Lack of information, lack of awareness, lack of attention, lack of curiosity led to a problem. You can avoid that problem with a good look at the science. I hope you can do that. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Carlisle Mountier, Marketing and Events Manager for the Pacific Grove Chamber of Commerce, and I'm speaking on behalf of that organization and its membership this morning. We represent over 400 Monterey Peninsula area businesses, many of which are hotels, restaurants, or related service providers that have an essential interest in the peninsula's ongoing water supply situation and its proposed solution. We first thank this commission for its action in November 2014 to approve the test well for Cal-Am's proposed Seaside project. Since that time, the well has run nearly 600 days. It has performed consistently and has proven that slant wells are feasible in this location. Data on that is very available. The test well results mean that our community will be able to pursue the Coastal Commission's preferred environmentally sensitive technology for desal intakes, address our urgent water supply needs, and protect our oceans and marine life. Our community needs a desalination plant, not because we've outgrown our current supply, but because our current supply, the Carmel River, has been overpumped, and an alternative resource must be found. Our community's per capita water consumption is among the lowest in the state, and our provider has made consistent and measurable progress towards reducing dependence on the Carmel River and bringing its pumping into compliance with the cease and desist order. Cal-Am and its partners in this process are committed to continue to be leaders in conservation while we develop a future in water that is sustainable. We look forward to your continued support of water projects that help communities and preserve our coastline. We must solve the water supply crisis on the Monterey Peninsula, and we appreciate the Commission's commitment and important role in helping us look after our river, our water, and our way of life. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Gary Curcio. I'm Director of Government Affairs for the Monterey County Hospitality Association, and today I'm also representing the Coalition of Peninsula Businesses, whose co-chair, John Narigi, has been unavailable during these meetings. I do have prepared remarks. While I was standing there a moment ago, I'm not going to use them, because I'm going to speak to something a little differently than you possibly have been hearing over the last 3 days. And that is the unintended consequences of having the current Cal-Am project delayed or knocked offline. I know there's some new members on the commission, and maybe just a very short history of, as you probably know, this has been going on for over 20 years. And the project that Cal-Am is working on diligently is the only project that the entire Monterey County, the cities, the county, the state, and even the federal government all got together on, went behind, and decided this is how we need to move forward. And that's how it was put into play, and it was the first time ever that happened. Our organization represents 24,000 hospitality workers. If this project is pushed behind or delayed, the cease and desist order, which has clear markers as to what has to be followed and maintained, can be discontinued immediately. And by the way, the State Water Resource Board was so frustrated with our community for talking and never doing. So finally, when we did come together, it was a sign for them that they could agree to give us this 5-year extension. If the 5-year extension is not kept into place, severe penalties of more water pricing to commercial in particular, up to a 40% increase, would cause many of our hotels on the Monterey Peninsula not to be able to operate at full strength. And these hotels cannot operate successfully with 40% occupancy, reducing their rooms by 40%. This directly will affect the lives of almost half of these 24,000 employees. It's something that we don't talk about. And I know you've heard talking points for 3 days, and that's why I decided not to talk about it. But we need to keep this moving. You have been a big part of continuing to do that. We ask that you continue in any way possible. We cannot afford to have this extension taken away and these fines imposed. It would directly impact our hospitality professionals. Thank you very much.